All right, so over the past year, the question I've been asked more often than any other question is not, do I think Alec Murdaugh did it? I mean, been asked that a lot, but believe it or not, the question I've been asked more than any other question is, what happened to Thornblade? Now, if you're new to this audience, if you're new to our podcast, to our weekend review show, to our video offerings, to all of it, you probably haven't heard of Thornblade. But if you're a regular reader of FITSNews, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Thornblade is a club and a neighborhood, well, a club within a neighborhood located near Greer, South Carolina, which is in Greenville County, just outside of Greenville, just east of Greenville, actually. And it's the location of a prominent celebrity pro-am golf tournament. It's well known for that. But in the summer of 2020, it became known for a sex scandal that we thought was going to blow up into probably one of the biggest sex stories that this news outlet's ever covered. And it started, oddly enough, with allegations of financial impropriety at this private club, this Thornblade club, and specifically allegation that money, over $100,000, in fact, had been stolen from the club, which forced members to up their dues and pay a lot of money, and that pissed people off, so they reached out to us. We started investigating. Sure enough, this tip turned into an investigation by the Greenville County Sheriff's Office. Eventually, the U.S. Secret Service got involved because there were computer crimes alleged, but it was a big story. So while we were digging into these financial allegations, there were other allegations made of a more salacious nature. These involved an alleged sex ring, or what one source even called a prostitution ring, which allegedly involved multiple male members of this neighborhood/club. Now, those allegations also sparked an inquiry, one that was run by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Homeland Security Investigations Unit, or HSI. Now, we don't really know what happened with that investigation. We do know that HSI referred an internal affairs complaint to the Greenville County Sheriff regarding a deputy who was apparently mixed up in some of this. We don't know exactly how. That investigation supposedly ended back in September of 2020, but when we FOIA'd for the file from that investigation in early 2021, the Greenville County Sheriff's Office denied that FOIA, even though this deputy had apparently been cleared. So why would they deny a FOIA related to that inquiry? Well, I believe that that FOIA was denied because the internal affairs investigation into this cop contained a dossier that named names and that, from what my sources tell me, included some digital evidence related to the Thornblade saga. And obviously that's stuff that the powers that be up in Greenville did not want getting out. So where are we with this story? Well, not much has happened over the last year. In fact, it's actually been since December 2020 that there was really any public action related to Thornblade. And in December 2020, readers will recall, if you're a longtime reader of Fitz, you'll know a prominent regional law firm opened its own independent investigation into the sex ring allegations at Thornblade. What happened with that? Was that sort of leverage to get settlements? I don't know. But again, not a peep about this investigation, either the law firm inquiry or the criminal probes. Not a peep. And again, nearly a year and a half now. We're now a year and a half. We're halfway through 2020. So where's this going? Again, at this point, I don't know. There were no criminal charges filed at this point because, from what I've been led to believe, none of the actors involved were below the age of consent. In other words, everyone who was involved in this was over the age of 16, which means they're a consenting adult in South Carolina. And while there may have been charges related to contributing to the delinquency of a minor that could have been brought, local law enforcement and solicitors did not want to rock this boat and expose all of this just for charges that would ultimately not amount to very much. Now, I did have a conversation last week in anticipation of our story this week, conversation with some folks in the office of 13th Circuit Solicitor Walt Wilkins. And they told me that, indeed, the Thornblade allegations were brought to the attention of Solicitor Wilkins, and that his response, and again, appropriately, was, hey, bring me something I can prosecute. If you've got evidence of a criminal act, bring it to me. I'll prosecute it. I'm told that's a similar decision that was reached in the office of the U.S. Attorney when the HSI investigation was provided to them, which, again, revealed, according to my sources anyway, nothing but consenting adults. So where does it go from here? A lot of people are unsatisfied with that outcome. They believe that something's being covered up. They believe there's something bigger here. They believe that people were paid off. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of money spent on a lot of lawyers related to this story. I know that for a fact. So they're unsatisfied with that outcome. Well, this news outlet is committed to finding as much as we can about the story. And to the extent that there was criminal activity, and again, I'm not saying there was or wasn't, we want to bring that to light. So this week, in addition to updating readers on the very latest that we know about Thornblade, our researcher, Jen Wood, who many of you know, has been an integral component of our Murdaugh murders, crime and corruption saga coverage. Jen Wood is on this case, people. And in fact, she is working not only with several of the sources that were our original sources on this report, but in the story that we're publishing this week, you'll see that she is offering up the ability to talk with folks who may have information related to the Thornblade saga, an appeal for information. So folks, if you've got any info related to this story that you believe we should look into, let Jen Wood and myself know. And again, we're going to put the email up here so you've got it, research@FITSNews.com. You can see it here on the screen. I know Dylan hates it when I do this. Don't you, Dylan? He hates it. But anyway, Jen Wood on the case. And if there is criminal activity, folks, we want to help prove it. We want to hold law enforcement accountable if they don't follow up on it. But most importantly, we, like you, just want to get to the bottom of this thing. We want to know what happened. So folks, help us out. If you've got any information on Thornblade, reach out to us, research@FITSNews, and help us solve this long-running case.